Whether it's happening in Port Harcourt, South, Nigeria, or around the world, we've got you covered. On air, online, delivering balanced news and unbiased analysis. Today, 95.1 FM.
This is Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News.
Good morning. This is your world news on your premium talk radio today, 95.1 FM Pawtucket. I am Buche Rafwa. The headlines. Independent National Electoral Commission INEC commences collation of results in the governorship election in Kogi and Bayelsa State. And President Muhammadu Buhari clarifies controversy surrounding sack of 35 aides of Vice President Yemi Osibanjo. The uses of locally refined kerosene calls for reduction in price and for availability of product and filling stations across Nigeria. And on foreign scene, 19 people feared killed in car bomb in Turkish-controlled town of Al-Bab in northern Syria. Now the details. Voting has ended in Kogi and Bayelsa state governorship elections going on simultaneously. Electoral materials arrived to some polling units in Bayelsa and Kogi as early as 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. respectively, and thereafter accreditations and voting commenced. There were reports of violence and hijacking of materials in some areas. Kogi State's Governor Yahaya Bello, after casting his vote in his unit, urged supporters not to perpetrate any act of violence but ensure that they protect their votes.
Cast your vote peacefully and then return back home, or still within the perimeters that have been provided by the law enforcement agencies. Then watch and observe as the results have been collated and announced from polling units down to the state level. I will urge all the people of Kogi State that they should not take laws into their hands as law enforcement agencies have been charged to do their job. And I equally call on my supporters not to perpetrate any violence anywhere, because he who commits violence will face the full wrath of the law.
On her part, the governorship candidate of Social Democratic Party in Kogi, Natasha Akwati, after casting her votes, told newsmen that she has the tremendous support of the Kogi people, but expressed worry about the violence in some areas.
There's been a series of violence, and it's actually escalating right now. The peak of it was yesterday when we woke up to the news that the SDP State Secretariat was being burnt down, and the manner in which that event happened is actually most worrisome. If we in Nigeria keep saying that we're not happy with the way the status quo is maintained and we want a better Nigeria, we want a more responsive policing system, more responsive judicial system, then it's left for people who occupy this position of authority to reach down into their soul and do what is right.
Also speaking, the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Wada, expressed satisfaction with the process at his polling unit, but expressed fear on what the outcome will be as the exercise continues.
The candidate recognized it fast, and I think and hope if it continues this way, we'll have a very fair election in Ward 1 here. Everything is toward the best. It's too early for me to know because these miscreants just come like thunder. I've told the prospective voters to be vigilant. I was telling them to make sure they vote, stay, and ensure their vote counts from polling unit to the collation center. Because we believe and we heard that the results at each local government collation center will be announced there. So I told them to sacrifice today by being vigilant to ensure that their vote counts in the interest of the democracy.
The report says 3 persons have been confirmed dead while several others sustained injuries when suspected thugs invaded Adankolo and Lokongoma primary schools in Lokoja. It was gathered that the thugs, who were dressed in police uniforms, shot at 2 voters in Adankolo and 1 in Lokongoma when they wanted to snatch the ballot box, leading to injuries and several persons who tried to scamper for safety. Reports say some of victims who sustained injuries were rushed to an undisclosed hospital where they are currently receiving treatment. And Governor Seriake has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to cancel the election in some parts of the state where the exercise witnessed hijacking of electoral materials and personnel. Governor Dixon, who spoke after casting his vote at Rewari in Turo, Orua, polling unit 5 to Rurua in Sagbama local government area particularly called for outright cancellation of the elections in Nimbe local government area, where according to him, over 20 PDP faithfuls were massacred by armed militia during an aborted campaign rally of the PDP. He alleged that unidentified number of INEC officials have been abducted in Yenagua local government area and another 3 missing in Sabama local government area of the state. Dixon, who highlighted the gruesome killings during the PDP campaign in Nimbe, described what is currently happening in the state as a charade and not a democracy. Former President Goodluck Jonathan cast his vote alongside his wife, Dame Patience, after a delayed arrival of officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission and election materials. A correspondent reported that the former president and his wife cast their votes at Ward 13, Unit 39, Otazi Playground in Otweke, Obia, local government area of Bayelsa State. And meanwhile, the governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress APC in Bayelsa State, Chief David Lyon, has described the ongoing election in the state as peaceful. Lyon, who cast his vote at Olubobiri Ward 4, Unit 1 in southern Ijo local government area of the state, expressed hope that the entire process will end peacefully. The APC candidate, who also commended INEC for the conduct of the election, warned against any attempts to disrupt the poll, just as he advised the people to remain peaceful and throughout the exercise. And still in Bayelsa, inhabitants of Sambo community in Kolokuma or Bokuma local government area of Bayelsa State have narrated difficulties they encountered because of flood which have submerged their community. Those who spoke to our correspondent Sandra Kenneth complained that they had to cross the river from a neighboring community where they have been taking refuge to cast votes in their community. They expressed worries that the flood was increasing contrary to their expectation.
As it is, on a personal basis, I couldn't come yesterday because there was nowhere to sleep. Water has taken everywhere, the entire community. So we had to come this morning. So many had to sleep at the town hall. And you know what it means. Some sat on their chairs. That was how they slept till this morning, just to be sure they come and vote. With what, in fact, we thought by now the water must have receded. But what we are seeing is like it has increased, beyond our initial forecast.
Some of them discover now Kenu we enter go.
We enter Kenu close, go enter the village, go vote. We be unit 1 now for a year before, but as water day, when water don't cover everywhere for there. Now this side now we can't take vote when I now do.
It's also gathered that a boat conveying journalists across flooded parts of Sambo community in Non-Look River had earlier capsized and threw the four occupants into the water. The boat was carrying the 4 journalists covering the governorship election who were returning from the polling station when the incident happened and left the victims submerged. But timely intervention of sympathizers rescued the journalists whose mobile phones, cameras and recorders were drenched. In the meantime, the Independent National Electoral Commission has said it will depend on the report of their officials to take final decisions in areas where violence were reported in Bayelsa and Kogi State for the governorship election. INEC National Commissioner in charge of Voters Education, Festus Okoye, who was reacting to reports of violent attacks in both states, said it will be wrong to base their action on the reports from social media or stakeholders. Okoye said although the electoral umpire may not be 100% in the conduct of election, insisted that all materials, including the deployment of adequate security personnel to achieve free and fair election, were made available by INEC. Okoye, while blaming the political stakeholder in the wave of violence recorded in the election, said INEC will not fail to reconduct elections in areas where elections were disrupted.
Deploy violence to polling units rather than deploy intelligence to go and get people to go out and go and vote. So I believe that where ballot boxes, ballot papers, and all the election materials have been destroyed, and the presiding officers and assistant presiding officers have been forced to run to safety, there's absolutely nothing we can do. They will write their report and forward to the collation officer for the registration area. Based on the report that has been filed by the presiding officers, then the collation officer and the other levels of authority within the collation chain will take a decision and make a determination on what to do in relation to the area. The determination on what will happen will be based on the report we gave from the collation of the presiding officers, the supervisors, and even the electoral officers of that particular area.
Reacting to the delay arrival of electoral materials in some local governments and polling units, Okoye said may have been caused by absence of the security operatives to escort the materials.
But the only thing INEC can do for them is to make sure that they have an opportunity of exercising their democratic franchise. Now, I cannot see where we have gone wrong in relation to the visuals that have been shown. We deployed the non-sensitive materials on time. We deployed the sensitive materials on time. We trained the presiding officers and deployed them, and they went there to go and make sure that the people have an opportunity to vote. And then some bad people who are engaged in bad behavior, mobilized by some forces who either do not want voting to take place or who want to compromise the voting process, have gone there to make sure that nothing goes on there. I think that we need to have a major conversation in this country relating to the extent to which we can deploy security agents and security forces closer to the polling units. Because if they are closer to the polling units, some of these untoward activities will not happen.
You are listening to the World News in Today 95.1 FM, Voice of the People. After the break, more news, foreign and sports stories. To stay tuned.
Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today 95.1 FM.
Thanks for staying tuned. You're still on to the World News and Today 95.1 FM. President Muhammadu Buhari has explained that 35 aides of Vice President Professor Yemi Osibanjo were not sacked from the office of the Vice President as peddled in the media. President Buhari, who was responding to questions, said the aides to the Vice President were redeployed to a new ministry. The President described as unfortunate the interpretation of his directives as a sack, saying that what happened was a reorganization and not a sack, stressing that a new ministry has recently been created, which identified as Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development.
Like they said, 75 people were sacked in Vice President office. We just created a ministry and we reorganized, and people are giving it ethnic and political dimension. It's unfortunate.
A Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, has called on state government to take up the responsibility of providing water for its people. Adamu made the call while speaking at a forum in Abuja. He said that many state governments were not investing in water projects and had abandoned their responsibility for the federal government. The Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, emphasized that it is not the role of the federal government to provide water. He added that the role of the ministry is to provide bulk water and manage the water resources of the country, which is an intervention to complement the efforts of the state. An appeal court sitting in Niger State has affirmed the election of Abubakar Bello as a duly elected governor of Niger State. The court, in a unanimous judgment by a 5-man panel, held that the appeal by the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Umar Nasko in March 9 poll lacked the jurisdiction to enter judgment against Bello. The appeal court ruled that the appellant failed to conclude their petition within 180 days as stipulated by Section 294, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. In the same vein, the governorship candidate of the Allied People's Movement in the March 9th governorship election in Ogun State, Adekunle Akinlade, has expressed his readiness to challenge the appeal court judgment which affirmed the victory of the state governor, Dapo Abiodun. Akinlade, who addressed representatives of the party from the 57 local governments and local council development areas at the party secretariat in Abeokuta, said he will show victory at the Supreme Court. He expressed his conviction and belief in the legal system and urged his supporters to remain calm and resolute as the party takes his case to the Supreme Court. It will be recalled that the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal and the Appeal Court had dismissed the petition brought before them by the governorship candidate for lack of merit and on the grounds that it was a re-election matter. Users of locally refined kerosene, popularly called fire, have called on the federal government and the oil and gas sector to reduce the price of kerosene and make it readily available to filling stations. The respondents who spoke with our correspondent Ifunayo Bemondukwe said they patronize fire because the price of the originally refined kerosene is very high and most times unavailable. They, however, said they are fully aware of the hazards that come with its use and have become accustomed to using it, just as they appeal to the government to reduce its price.
When I keep up with the monitor, and I will make sure I cover everywhere, all the whole school, go to other places, I will cover everywhere. So no way to get no, maybe very good, but I waiting for everywhere. 99% of people are using profile. The price is too much. This profile is the 25 liter is 5,000 naira. But if you go to filling station, the rate of 1 liter is maybe 250 or 300. I've been using this profile for long. I know how to use it. I can handle it perfect. Why? Because if I pour it, if there's something like leakage inside your stove or whatever, maybe you did not put the rope perfectly, if the price of the original one comes down, nobody will pay anything.
They cannot even get it in the pump. Their businesses must move on. What do they do? They improvise like using it, but sometimes they check the time factor. They need to prepare something. How would they not have the original one? It is all reachable. They go for the alternative.
Meanwhile, stakeholders of the oil and gas sector in River State have blamed the use of fire on the unavailability of the originally refined kerosene in the Port Harcourt refinery depot. They expressed concern that for over 2 years, the federal government have failed to supply some petroleum product to the Port Harcourt refinery depot, making the public to go for what is available.
For the past 2 years, nothing as an activity is happening at the Port Harcourt depot. Reason because they told us that they're undergoing TAM, which acronym for turnaround maintenance. Right now, none of the products such as AGU or DPK is operational or being loaded at the Port Harcourt refinery depot. For the past 2 years, on our people result to loading what they properly called bullfire. And bullfire is killing our people as a result of creating explosion on daily basis. We are saying enough is enough for that. And we are appealing to them to send us the original kerosene like they have in Lagos, like they have other parts of Nigeria. We don't bring to us the original, then the faith will disappear.
Petroleum tanker drivers PTD Port Harcourt refinery has reassured the supply of petroleum products as the yellow tide season approaches. Speaking with our correspondent Ifunayo Bemondukwe, chairman of PTD Alhaji Musa Dennis, said the union is limited to supplying products for domestic use and vehicle usage. Dennis, however, called on the federal and state government to rehabilitate the roads to ensure safety of the people. He also confirmed the passage of a bill to ensure all tankers carrying products not more than 45,000 litres, adding that tanker drivers do not apply the road at night or for safety purposes.
The best to make sure there's a availability of product like PMS, which the most affect everybody. But the other domestic use for the DPK is where we having problem, and the one we use for the logistics, the movement for the trucks, which is the diesel, second problem again. But for PMS, we do have PMS, which other transport vehicle make use of it. We don't apply night because many accidents that happen is night. There's an order and they are installing on vehicles speed limit. They are doing it as I talk to you. Any vehicle that is not properly roadworthy and doesn't have the speed limiter will not load from the depot. They should make sure they look into this quick before they take live, because if any truck falls down, that's why we caution our driver to reduce speed and to go carefully. The road is no more good again. Or we're begging the government to just come and pour stone, fill it first until the contractor or whoever that is handling it fills the road. We pass a bill that no truck will load more than 45 again, 1,000 liters. And it has to be from 45 down.
On the foreign scene, 19 people are feared killed in a car bomb, 13 of who are civilians in the Turkish-controlled town of Al-Bab in northern Syria. The bomb, which struck a bus and taxi station in the town, also wounded 33 people. Turkey and its Syrian proxies control several pockets of territory on the Syrian side of the border as a result of successive incursions in 2016 to 17, 2018 and 19. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the bombing, but the observatory said there had been persistent security incidents in the town since it's captured by Turkish troops from the Islamic State group in February 2017. At least 5 people have been killed in Bolivia in clashes between supporters of former President Evo Morales and security forces. A doctor in Sacaba told the Associated Press that most of those killed died from gunshots. Minister from the interim government, Yes, Justiniano, confirmed the death to local media. To end the news, here is a summary of the major stories. The Independent National Electoral Commission has commenced collation of results in the governorship election in Kogi and Bayelsa State. And President Muhammadu Buhari has clarified the controversy surrounding the sack of 35-8 Vice President Yemi Osibanjo. We also told you that users of locally refined kerosene have called for reduction of prices and for surplus availability of the product in filling stations across the country. And 419 people have been killed in a car bomb in the Turkish-controlled town of Al-Bab in northern Syria. And that was the news is edited by Uchendu Echiowo. For comments and inquiries, please call 08153418657 or 08144343502. Or send your emails to news@todayfmlive.com. You can also read our stories on www.todayfmlive.com. I am Buchi Rafwa, thanking you for listening. Happy Sunday. Good morning.
Today's news, today's entertainment, today's sports, today's issues. Today on Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Good to have you here. Representatives from Daily Income, Engineer Offer Monday. He's the MD CEO, Funny Vision Nigeria Limited. Good to have you here.
Good morning.
Mr. Gabriel Hero, entrepreneur.
Thank you. Good morning.
Engineer Victor Etin. Good to have all of you here.
Good morning.
For the sake of the so many who have not heard this, and I'll be surprised if they haven't, but for the sake of those who haven't, what is Daily Income Stores?
Okay, for those who are tuning in for the first time to this frequency, Daily Income Store is a physical store here. Of course, that all you need to do is to walk into this store to do your own shopping. Of course, and then after your shopping, you have to drop your account details. Why do you have to do that? So that as other people are shopping from that same store, you'll be getting daily income or daily alert. And the good news is that this store sells things that we cannot do without. For example, you are hearing me right now. You cannot stay without not brushing your mouth. You're going to use chewing stick or toothpaste. You cannot stay without not taking your bath. You're going to use solid soap, liquid soap, or solid soap. That means human being daily needs and want cannot be satisfied. All these things are available in Daily Income Stores. Your normal daily needs and want, things you cannot do without. So all you need to do is to walk into Daily Income Stores only once in a year to do your shopping. Then you drop your account details. As other people are shopping after you from the same store, you'll be getting daily income. We are already 18 years in over 100 countries. We are already 7 years in Nigeria. And we are telling you we are holding a big business event because some people don't know about this. That are holding a training to show them how things work. And of course, if you are already hearing me and you're looking forward to have an extra income, looking forward to have a project, for financing a project, you need money to actually take it to a level. We can show you this opportunity. You go to Daily Income Stores, you do your shopping. Of course, you drop your account details. As other people are shopping after you, you'll be getting daily income. So if you're interested to be part of this event, we're going to give you details more soon.
What makes this store different? What's the innovation? What's special about Daily Income Stores?
Honestly speaking, I've been saying this over and over again. What makes us different is this. Traditionally, walk into any store, what you do is that you give money in exchange for goods or services. That's what you do traditionally. And of course, you walk out of the store. Transaction has been completed. But in Daily Income Stores, you don't just give money in exchange for goods or services. The company will give you an opportunity to drop your account details. That's what makes us different. Okay. That's what makes us unique. That's what makes us quite called that advancement in technology. That is the innovation about our business.
All right then. So shop and then drop your account
details.
And as people shop after you
in that same particular store, not all the stores.
That's okay. Not all the stores.
Not all the stores.
Okay.
There's a particular store you go to do your shopping. This store is already 7 years in Nigeria.
Mr. Gabriel Hero, how real is this? How true is this? Has this happened to you before?
For me, my experience with Daily Income Stores is phenomenal. And that's because as a business coach and a mentor, I'm always very keen to know the root of everything I'm into, especially when I look at the relationship between myself and the people I'm mentoring. So at Daily Income Stores, I've come to realize that for every budding entrepreneur, they have the necessary business skill that's required of anybody who wants to go out there and make money. And you're not just making money, in today's world, there's what we call sustainable development. And for you to have a sustainable development, you have to think of a sustainable source of income. And Daily Income Source is one store that gives you that guarantee that you can actually make money on a sustainable basis. For example, my personal testimony, when I went to Daily Income Source for the very first time.
Where did you hear them on radio, just like this?
Yeah, already. I was driving. I was driving to my normal business day. I heard them talking about Daily Income Source over the radio. So I picked interest. I got the number. I text. I think that day it was text something. Enjoy. Yes. So I was keen to really enjoy the ride with Daily Income Source. So I got there. I sat down. I listened to everything. Their seminar presentation was awesome, and the guys were very nice with me as a person. So at the end, I asked a few questions and they answered me adequately. Then I shopped, and after shopping, they asked me to drop my account number, which was something I've never seen before. And I thought, is this for? I said, okay, let me just drop the account number. So I did. I left the account number with them. Got their product home. Their products were very awesome. The product, the beverages, everything were wonderful. Share with you, my neighbors, and they loved it. Then a few days later, I got an alert in my phone. And it was from Daily Income Source. So at that point, I was convinced that for real, this thing is legitimate. This thing is real.
It's real.
And people are actually making a lot of money at Daily Income Source.
Okay, good. So I'm also going to ask Mr. Victor now to share his experience.
All right, thank you very much. My humble self, I actually heard about Daily Income Source on radio. Actually, it was on a Saturday because I worked in one of the multinationals, and no, I don't work on Saturdays. So it was on a Saturday. I tuned to my radio. I heard about Daily Income Stores where you shop once, you drop your account number, you get paid as other customer shops after you. Of course, the first day I heard, I doubted it. I did not believe it. I was wondering how possible was it that you're going to shop, then you get paid as other customer shops from the same store. It was the second Saturday I heard about it again. I said, okay, a question came to me, have you not used toothpaste? I answered myself, I've used toothpaste. So why not go and see? I went to the program. On getting there, I saw that the products they actually had were all NAFDA certified, toothpaste, soap, beverages, things that we use every day. Of course, they are packed in hampers. I decided to pitch an hamper for myself. Before I left, I dropped my account details. I got home, I told my wife about it. We used the product. It was awesome. Of course, I told all my neighbors and every other person. Wednesday, they did their shopping. But today, a few days later, I got an alert. I must confess to you that what I'm getting from Daily Income Stores today has been wow. I don't want to mention figures on the air. But for those that are listening.
They're looking at you. And this has been consistent.
Sure. As other people keep shopping from the same stores. Of course, so 2 years. That's what I'm saying. For 2 years now, it's not what it's just happening.
Daily Income money 2 years
now. Of course, it's not new. That's why we are here in this city to tell the people about it.
So who can be part of the training?
Actually, we are expecting to see everybody. We are expecting doctors, engineers, commissioners, educated, not educated. As far as you are spending money every day, you deserve to make money every day from Daily Income Stores. At least everybody, of course, need an extra income. And definitely it's a one opportunity for you. I shopped for years.